specific Palisades Park, or this Palisades Park.
Things. Your dude Max Miller held a gun apparently to a partner's head, but he's more angry about the 6 genders than that. Because you'll notice he's not talking about Max Miller. He's not talking about a lot actually, Sean Hannity these days. Hell of a party that they've built over there with Fox News. But anyway, here is what the polling can show beyond just the top line numbers. Paxton is winning white voters by just 14 points. He shouldn't be winning them at all, but it's Texas. What are you gonna do? President Trump won them by 33 points though 2 years ago, so that's a big shift. Trump also carried Hispanic voters in the state by 10 points. Tallarico's winning them by 19. So some significant shifts there. We talked about the independents yesterday on the show. A lot of movement towards Tallarico there. And but also, look, Tallarico's a good candidate. Paxton's a bad candidate with a bad history. And also, he can't even get through events without stuff like this happening.
We're calling it Paxton's Protecting Texas, the Texas Promise Plan. And I want to tell you what that's going to be. It's okay.
Isn't that his rally? Jesus, that was a bad reaction that he just got right there. So that plan, which was the Paxton Protecting Pumps Privilege, I don't know what he said. It's very hard to pay attention to what he's saying. He's a very uncharismatic guy. Is a $25,000 tax deduction for medical expenses and premiums and a $50,000 deduction for first-time home buyers. Which, okay, maybe. We've heard stuff like that before. I guess that's something. Man, the crowd was not having it, though. Sharon, what do you think?
Yeah, like who boos when somebody's trying to give you, more tax credit stuff? Well, they're booing because, like you said, he's not likable. Even if he hands out lollipops, people are like, yeah, we don't really trust you, okay? You've got a mistress, you're voting and using an address that you weren't supposed to, you're a hypocrite, you're gross, like on and on and on. I don't even know, he wasn't even really selling it. It was as if he was like, trying to remember the talking points that his staff gave him. He's just the worst. This is the best you can do. Run this guy with all of his issues. Okay, you're kind of talking about the state of your party. He's representative of that.
Yeah, I am sometimes just so astounded that people without like a single bit of charisma or warmth or humor or anything can get as far as they can. Like, he might not become a senator, but he's gotten elected to other offices, and I don't know how. Who are the poor schmucks that lost to that guy the last time around?
Audience hearing for everyone.
Come on! Give us some salsa!
Woo, get on down, you two. is suggesting there is that I've been intellectually consistent, always have, since before I became Speaker, and certainly over the last almost 3 years. This applies equally to Republicans and Democrats. We don't take disciplinary action against members for allegations. What should a Speaker do in this case?
What should a speaker do in this case when this guy Max Miller is facing allegations from 3 partners and also a kid of domestic abuse, of violence, and all that? What should you do as a speaker? Not anything, literally anything. No, I'm just gonna talk to you in this tone. What should I do? I don't know. Are you just a speaker, Mike Johnson? Are you a man? Are you a man who wants to defend women and girls? Because those are the ones that allegedly have been abused. No, just a speaker, not a man. Okay, you're a speaker. Okay, are you Christian? You love to say that you are when the topic isn't domestic abuse. What does Christ think about holding a gun to your partner's head, splashing them with boiling water, breaking a collarbone, I believe, throwing a woman against the wall? Are you a Christian? Or are you just a speaker? Are you literally anything other than a speaker? Are you literally anything other than an empty boy-sized small suit? Are you anything at this point? He couldn't get work of it all. These are wildly violent allegations coming from multiple people. He doesn't even care. He said, here's a sentence that he said. There's all sorts of domestic events going on with 435 members of Congress all the time. It's not my business to get engaged in it. You are the leader of the caucus. You fought to get this, to be in charge of them. There's all sorts of domestic events. I don't know, some of them have, picnics, recitals to go to. Some of them are revamping their house. One of ours has a new dog. There's so much going on. There's not a lot of people who held a gun to their partner's head. It's not a lot of people that threw them against a wall. I'm pretty sure Max Miller is the only one with those specific things. You could pretend to care about it. Except that Max Miller is a Republican, except that their margin is already pretty narrow, so they can't actually care. Certainly not as a man or as a Christian. So it falls to Max Miller to defend himself, to try to maintain his position in the House against reason, against morality and all that. So he goes on CNN, and I guess his plan was to clear his name. And I say I guess because there's not a lot of evidence in these clips that he's really committed to that goal. Instead, you get stuff like this, starting with Jake Tapper.
There are now 3 women who have accused you of violent behavior. Politico published a report in 2021 that says when you were in high school, you, quote, pushed a girl out of the dorm of his room and she fell down some stairs after he became enraged when she resisted his attempts to touch her, according to 3 people who were there and many more who heard about the incident in the aftermath. Now, you deny that, but the woman in question told Mother Jones reporter Abby Vasulis just days ago that it happened and was, quote, one of the more traumatic nights of her life. Now,
I would love for that individual to go on the record because that...
Okay, hold on, because I'm not done with the list of women that have accused you of violence. Then there is former White House press secretary. Okay, you were young. Then there's former White House press secretary Stephanie Grisham, who was your ex-girlfriend. She accused you of being abusive and having a violent streak. She wrote in her book, quote, I could do nothing right by him. I would wake up every morning shaking with anxiety about his mood that day. I had seen his temper before and it had scared me, unquote. She has recently filed a temporary restraining order against you in a defamation case. And now there are these claims from your ex-wife, Emily Marino. And I guess the question is, are all 3 of these women who don't know each other, are all 3 of them lying?
Yeah, that's pretty amazing right there. When he says, I'd love for this woman to go on the record. She did, actually. She spoke to the reporter there. Also, I would love for her to go on the record implies that she's lying. And then he said, I was 13. Well, that sounds like you did it. Like, either it's made up or boys will be boys. It can't be both of those things at the same time. Now, we'll have more of him, but Sharon, what do you make of this? Also, what do you make of his body language? How, oh God, I gotta listen to this crap again in that interview? What do you think?
It reads like an abuser and a narcissist, and I may know people like that, okay? Listen. Accusations are just accusations, but not the way Jake Tapper just prosecuted that. And you know what, Mike Johnson? Maybe you can't kick him out of Congress all by yourself, but did you even have that kind of conversation with this guy? Did you even invite him to your office, look him square in the eye, nose to nose, and say the same things? Are all of these women lying? Because this is hella disgusting stuff. And don't forget about the boiling water. No, he didn't. Instead, he goes to church and wears that stupid rubber bracelet. What would Jesus do? But you know what Jesus would do? Probably something tough. Probably he would at least have a conversation with this guy. He did it, okay? That's my opinion. I know exactly who this guy is. And when you have people throughout the course of your life saying the same things consistently, it might be a character flaw. It might be who you are inside and out.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so maybe Mike Johnson can't kick him out of the caucus, although they could do some stuff. But you could have a problem with it. You could say something in that interview. It's not just that you're not going to kick him out. Like, you just have no thoughts? Literally nothing. Trump also, I'll let the families figure it out. I don't really care. Now, at least, if we're talking about hypocrisy, I looked to see if Mike Johnson had been like, Graham Plattner's got to drop out. And I didn't find any evidence of it. He didn't weigh in on that. But Trump did immediately. Fox News, all over that story of Graham Plattner. Immediately. Well, it's not allegations. It's a definite fact. And we are going to run into that. That's going to somebody. It's obviously partisan. They don't care what he did. But let's go to a little bit more of Miller. So here's like his last-ditch effort at a Hail Mary defense of himself.
Yes, it's very easy, and I can tell you why. Every single time, and people have asked me, you know, what are you going to do? Are you going to drop out of this race? Are you going to resign? You know, are you going to get out before the deadline? And my answer to you, Jake, is no. And I can tell you why. In 2016, when President Donald J. Trump faced the most extreme allegations in the world that hit him day after day after day, and people in the media, very much like yourself and others, said that he would have no shot at winning, that he should not be the president of the United States. But guess what? He stayed in and he was resilient. And what the American people can see is that they can see that somebody is fighting who is resilient, and that is a quality that the American people cherish. And so for no second am I going to sit here and continue to be debased by false and baseless allegations and be pushed out of the seat I have worked so hard to represent.
Yeah, so first off, you already basically admitted to the first one in that interview. So calling him false and baseless is absolutely ridiculous. I love his defense is, I'm not going to step down. I'm going to be tough and aggressive. I'm not going to take no for an answer. I'm going to stay in this thing. Like, no, we get that vibe off of you. Also, comparing yourself to Donald Trump with the allegations he was facing in 2016, Trump did those things. They weren't false allegations. He was on tape with Billy Bush. We literally listened to it. He also, lest we forget, was found guilty of sexual abuse by a jury of his peers. He did those things, Max Miller, which makes me think that since you're willingly comparing yourself, it makes me think that you did those things too. Look, again, what he is saying there makes sense in a certain way. Donald Trump has proven that some Republican men can just get away with it, and I'd like to gamble on that. I'd like to roll the dice on, it doesn't really matter if you find out about those through him. It doesn't even matter if you find out about the other ones that might exist. I'm just gonna keep running, and we're gonna see what happens, because what's the difference? If I resign, I don't have power anyway. The worst case scenario if I stay in is that I don't have power. It sort of makes sense from a sick point of view. Sharon, final thoughts?
Well, he is sick. And look, if I were going on CNN to defend myself based off of these horrific allegations from all of these women, I wouldn't be talking about winning. The question's really about you. And what does he say there? Well, no, I know I can still win. Did you do these disgusting things, Steve? Is there anything that you would change? Is there anything that you could have done better? Do you have a problem with women? Don't you think it's a problem that so many think you do? I mean, he's a sick guy. Of course he's going to stay in. He doesn't like himself. He hates women, their property, and the only way he feels valuable is if he can stick up constituents and stay, in office. That's what he cares about.
100%. Look, we're going to see what happens with this guy, but I want everyone to remember going forward, every time you hear a conservative say, we just care about protecting women and girls, that's why we care so much about the WNBA, I want you to remember Max Miller, and I want you to remember Pete Hegseth, and I want you to remember Donald Trump, and all the others. All of these abusers, physical abusers, sexual abusers, who have been predators of women their entire lives, and girls, too. Donald Trump is facing the 13-year-old accusations, and they had nothing to say about it. Not only that, they love these guys. They love the guys that hurt, that harm women, that scar them for their lives.
Popcorners white cheddar flavor. Airy like popcorn, crunchy like a chip. Popcorners, snack differently. Free shipping on Vinted. Yes, really, now. Don't wear it, sell it.
We're getting more and more electric, costs us nothing. I think any community that turns down AI is making a big mistake because your taxes are going to go way down. If you own a house, it's going to be more valuable. It's a tremendous thing, and I see it. It's almost like there's a campaign against, data centers. But data centers, if you look at the stats, everything's good around them. Now the thing they should look at is blue states and blue cities. Cities run by Democrats, because that's really the threat to the country, because they're a disaster. But when you turn down data centers, and within this country, when they get turned down, there's other communities that want them desperately.
Yeah, there are other communities that want them desperately. There are other corrupt politicians who will give them tax breaks to come to their area. There's not one movement against these things. There's Democrats, conservatives, independents as well, all over the country that absolutely despise them. The funny thing, though, is how quickly this is moving, even on the right, as an issue. So Donald Trump is like, Mark Zuckerberg likes him, Elon Musk likes him, so I like him. Look at Greg Abbott. So a popular Republican in Texas, even he seems to get that the public is changing on this issue. So Texas Governor Greg Abbott directed agencies inside of Texas to conduct an audit of all planned data centers seeking grid connections before any more facilities are allowed to move forward. ERCOT is their regional power grid. It's disconnected from the national power grid. Currently reviewing roughly 474 gigawatts of proposed new electricity demand, more than 5 times the state's record peak load, the governor said, adding that about 90% of the requests are from data centers. Now look, maybe it's an ideological thing that he gets that Republicans are turning against data centers. Maybe it's just a pragmatic thing. Texas cannot do this. They can't build out data centers at this pace. Their power grid already routinely goes down in both the summer and the winter. So it's a good idea to be a little bit more cautious about that. Now, Donald Trump made a number of claims in the video. So the low cost to the grid, as you can see when it comes to Greg Abbott, they believe that there's potentially a devastating cost to the grid and they need to be careful about it. Taxes go down is a thing that he said. Yeah, they often give tax breaks to the people building the data centers. Why would residents' taxes go down as a result of that? I've literally never even heard that claim before. It's not a thing. That's just not a thing at all. Your property values go up Yeah, famously, people love moving next to data centers. I hear that all the time in the news. No, that's not a thing at all. In fact, studies have shown, one study published earlier this year examined a county in Virginia, home to 176 data centers. That's absolutely crazy. More than double the number of any other U.S. county. Found that houses within half a mile of an announced data center sold for roughly 2.8% less than similar homes slightly farther away. So, no, that could hurt you. And look, okay, we got a lot. If we bring up this, you can see the current, the recent building of data centers powered by fossil gas. So you have the effect on your electricity, the effect on your property values. You also have the environmental effect. So when you are flooding this area with the fumes, the emissions from fossil gas, that could cause increases in respiratory illnesses in that area. We've profiled that before as well. And let's take a look at across a couple different states. If built as planned, the gas burning plants, you can see here, Texas, Ohio, Wyoming building a lot. I mean, they're in a lot of different states, but they have a bunch of them. Could release as much planet warming pollution in a year as roughly half of all of the passenger vehicles in the U.S. They would also produce harmful pollutants, including particulate matter, formaldehyde, and smog-forming nitrogen oxides that can contribute to heart disease, asthma, lung cancer, strokes, and other ailments in people living nearby, which I will guarantee you will never include the CEOs or boards of the companies building or profiting from the data centers. It's just never actually going to happen. And then there's the issues with access to water after, and the cost of power and all of that. There are very good reasons that people have turned against data centers. Donald Trump either doesn't get it or just knows that it's worth just pushing these through. They make as much money as possible because that's what his class wants. Sharon, what do you think?
Yeah, look, it's gonna not help, which is why rich people, people of means, people in power don't want data centers in their communities, and they will fight very hard, if they have to fight at all, because usually they're not proposed in their communities, okay? It's only vulnerable people, sometimes close senior communities. But look, what is Donald Trump getting out of it? That's the only question you need to ask yourself. If he's saying it's good, it means he's grifting off of it, and beware. It's not going to be good for you no matter what he says.
100%. One final thing, just because this is amazing. I didn't know it was moving this fast. 63% of U.S. voters oppose AI data centers being built in or near their community. That was in a July poll by Emerson. It's up 21 points from December of last year. That's crazy how fast this is moving, and very few politicians seem to have gotten it. I see AOC, I see Bernie Sanders talking about this, and obviously good local politicians, but nationally, I don't think they get how broad-based the opposition to it is.
The secret's out.
Army Chief of Staff is apparently so bad, even Republicans are telling him, like, dude, it's not gonna happen. Like, forget it. We're just not gonna support this guy. So this is General Christopher Lenev. That's the guy that Pete Hegseth wants. But without unanimous Republican support, a Lenev nomination isn't going to be able to advance out of the Senate Armed Services Committee at this point. So you're probably wondering, what has this guy done? He is actually a general. You'll be shocked to find out that that's not enough of a qualification for Army Chief of Staff. There is an expectation of more experience. So the administration was poised back in May to put him forward for the role, but is held off because the committee chairman, Senator Roger Wicker, Republican of Mississippi, communicated that he didn't have the votes to secure approval for the nomination, according to U.S. officials and congressional sources. So Lenev, who commanded the 82nd Airborne, has faced criticism from lawmakers and experts who note that he has been a 4-star general for only 6 months. So that's literally during the Pete Hegseth tenure. Most chiefs serve at least 18 months in a 4-star role before assuming the top position. And look, it would be a lot to get into what you do at these different levels, but they are, as you move up, both in rank and then in stars as a general, you're dealing with more bureaucracy, you're in charge of more people, it's much more complex. And that is a way that you train for the higher job. If you're gonna be chief of staff for the entire Army, it's probably important that you're good at a lower level of management of a section of the Army. And he has done that for a while, but the expectation is that you'll have done it for at least 3 times as long. So the Pentagon and Hegseth, they fired back saying they stand behind General Lenev's leadership as acting chief of staff of the Army. The department will continue to work with the White House and the Senate to nominate and ultimately confirm President Trump's pick to lead the U.S. Army. It is technically President Trump's pick. Do you really think that he knows anything about this guy? Pete Hegseth likes him. And if Pete Hegseth likes you, that's not a good reflection on you as a person necessarily. But in a larger sense, I want you to think about this. So the anti-DEI, pro-meritocracy dude, Pete Hegseth, has spent the last year weeding out and blocking the nominations of extremely well-qualified people of color, women, with decades of experience. That's not good enough. Based purely on their identity, get them out of there. But then this white guy that he likes, who isn't qualified for the position, we gotta get him in. How dare you block this guy? This is what meritocracy has always meant for people like Pete Hegseth. Sharon, what do you think?
Yeah, Pete Hegseth and his band of unqualified people are the real affirmative action in this country, okay? They start out with the assumption that they're qualified, no, overly qualified. That's the assumption that their privilege allows them to start out with, when they're really just the not good people, okay? Lacking integrity and not good at their jobs. We could probably, as Americans, sad to say, forgive much of the integrity things, sadly. But they're just not good at their jobs. We're losing the war. The other side has more power, more money, and great Lego videos. And this guy is still in charge. He squandered all the money, and then he went to Congress and asked for billions, more trillions. I don't know what he asked for, but he shouldn't get another penny, and he shouldn't get another pick, and he shouldn't have one more beer. He should just go to inpatient therapy and leave us the hell alone, and leave black men alone, and leave women alone. Okay? That's what he should do.
Particularly leave the women alone based on the allegations.
Yes.
By the way, look, I like to admit when I'm wrong. I baselessly asserted that Donald Trump doesn't know anything about this guy. Now, I stand by, I don't think he knows much about his qualifications, his experience. But my producers are telling me there is one thing that Donald Trump knows about this guy and quite appreciates, as you'll see.
Sir, on behalf of the brave men and women who serve under my command, the thousands of dedicated service members that are part of the joint team in Korea, congratulations on your victory as the 47th President of the United States. Welcome back, Mr. President.
Is this man central casting or what? If I'm doing a movie, I pick him to play my lead.
I mean, if I get one hall pass, I'm humping that dude. That's what you know. Look at him. He looks good. Thank you. Well, then he should definitely be in charge of the Army if you got a compliment from him and then you said that he looks the part. Wonderful. Really substantive response there, Mr. President.
Come on! Give us some salsa!
Get on down, you two.